Zayin. Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, we're going to learn a mamar, a portion of a mamar, that speaks about the uniqueness of Purim. Namely, that Purim is a holiday that our sages say is never going to fade away. Mashiach will come when the sun is shining, the candlelight is eclipsed. It's not even noticed because the light is so much greater. But Purim will continue to shine, even when Mashiach comes. And the question is why? What is so great about Purim? In other words, when our sages said, Kol hamoyades, all of the festivals are hamoyadim, Atidim libatel, in the end they will fade away. The days of Purim will never fade away, which is a statement that's made in Medrash and Mishlei. It's also brought down in the Yalkut Shimoni. It doesn't mean that the holidays will be phased out. It means that the energy, the joy of the time of Mashiach will be so intense that everything that was once joy, everything that was once profound, you just won't notice it anymore. Right? And the simple metaphor is Shraga b'tiara mayahani. If you have a candle and the sun is shining brightly, nobody needs the candle or notices its light. But Purim is not just a candle. Purim is going to be something absolutely unbelievable. And it is something unbelievable. And it's so unbelievable, even though we may not understand it or feel it fully now, we'll fully appreciate it when Mashiach will come, when all the other holidays fade away, and Purim continues to shine, despite the brightness of the era of Mashiach. This is a rather long mimer, and there's no way we could get it into a short amount of time. So I took out a segment, and we'll learn this little segment. We're starting from Ois Zayin, from the 7th chapter of the mimer. So Hine, starting 2 lines down, in his bio we explain Shatam HaPashut, that the simple reason, Shakol HaMoyedim Atidim libatel, that all festivals in the end, when Mashiach will come, will fade away or will be suspended. Ulefi is because Shematziv Reiv HaToiva VaHaSimcha, because the situation of how the world will be when Mashiach will come. It'll be so good. The joy will be so great. So therefore, Tihya HaToiva VaHaSimcha Shel HaMoyedim, so the good or the joy of the festivals will be Kishraga B'tira, will be like a candlelight before the light of the sun. Eclipsed, not noticed. V'hainu, that is to say, Lefi Shekenhu Beruchnis, because this is the way it is on a spiritual level. And because it's that way on a spiritual level, that's why it'll even evolve that way in a material sense, in a literal sense, in our world. In comparison with the kind of revelation of God, the way we'll know God, the way we'll see God, the way we'll feel God, the way that will be in the future, all days of the year, so then the divine revelation that happens during a Yom Tov simply won't be noticed. Now, I want to tell you that I don't think this means that on a Purim now we actually see godliness. I don't think we see what Purim is. I think we try to do what you're supposed to do on Purim, and we believe that when you say L'chaim and you loosen your inhibitions, in addition to the fact that people just get excited because people get excited, there's actually something real going on, and that the neshama is ultimately expressing itself, and that all of the joy and all the excitement that's created from the atmosphere and going through the motions of costumes and Mishleach Manas and the giving and sharing and creating this unity, it does have an effect on you. If you would be on an island all by yourself, it's very doubtful you would feel Purim. If you're here in a Jewish community and everybody's celebrating Purim, so you feel Purim. And then you wonder to yourself, am I feeling Purim or am I feeling what everybody's doing? And if everybody would do this on a regular Wednesday, would it still feel like Purim? And the answer is possibly and possibly not. It could be that all of the atmospheric things we do actually lead us to feel the truth. The truth is that today is Purim and today is a wonderful day. When Mashiach will come, the world will be a very different place. When Mashiach will come, the realities that now we have to believe in, or now we can understand cerebrally, or perhaps, if we're very fortunate, even feel it emotionally, when Mashiach comes, we'll actually see it. That will be real to us. So whatever Simchas Torah was, and whatever Rosh Hashanah was, and whatever Hanukkah was, and whatever Shavuos and Pesach was during the Galut days, when Mashiach will come, you'll know what it was. It's just now we have to go through the motions because we follow the code of Jewish law, the Shulchan Aruch, and Minig Yisrael, the custom of the Jewish people is Torah. But what's really happening when Mashiach will come, you feel it. Having said that, despite the fact that this is true, so Mashiach comes and the screen is lifted, or the camouflage is taken away, and the world becomes transparent, and we can see the emet, the real truth, in a very overt and obvious way. So nonetheless, when Mashiach will come, we'll be seeing a lot of truths. And the truths of Mashiach's time will be so great that even though it'll be revealed what the Yom Tov really was, it might not be so impressive. So yeah, that's nice. But every day is nice. You could see, you feel the presence of God, you can achieve and nurture a closeness with God. You could do it really any day. So the Yom Tovim won't be so outstanding. Even though all Yom Tovim really are connected and linked to the concept of joy. In other words, even though it doesn't say Moadim L'Simcha by all of the festivals, but ultimately our sages explain that the nature of a festival is Simcha. And that's how we experience, that's how we're supposed to observe the Yom Tov, always with Simcha. So even though there's this business of Kol HaMoedim HaMoedim L'Simcha, Harei Kol Inyonei HaMoedim Hem B'Medida V'Hagbala. It's true that they're punctuated by joy. It's also true that the joy is limited. The joy is contained. And how do we know this? Shaharei Klolos Inyan HaMoedim, because the concept of the festivals, Hu mitzvah shenitna b'shas matan Torah. This is a mitzvah that was given when God gave us the Torah. V'al yedei ha-mesiras nefesh, kifi shahaya b'shas matan Torah, and in accordance, or as per, the sacrifice, the commitment we made when we were ready to receive the Torah, at the time of receiving the Torah, sha'az nimshechu begilui l'mata b'kelim, that then was actualized in vessels, quote unquote. But what this means is, when we talk about light and vessel, it's a metaphor. It means being able to take something which is perhaps inexplicable or inexpressive, and to put it into couch it in a frame which is specific. So for example, if a person feels a great deal of joy, and then he expresses himself, and he uses words or music to share his joy, then in that case, the person has taken the energy, he's taken the light, and he's put it into a vessel. Now he's put it into the words. So how do I know what you're feeling? I can't know what you're feeling. I can only know what you're feeling, but what you tell me what you're feeling. Sometimes a person can't fully express how he's feeling, so he yells, or screams, or shrieks, or giggles, I don't know, just makes funny noises. And even that is some form of keli, some form of convention or envelope through which you're expressing a deeper and more profound reality that's resonating inside. So that's called oires and kelim. That's called light and vessel. And it's a metaphor. So when the Torah was given, there was an act of absolute commitment and loyalty and devotion to Hashem, to the point that we transcended ourselves. The giving of the Torah was a time we transcended ourselves. In fact, if you look in the Medrash, you find out that the godly revelation we experienced when the Torah was given was so intense that our neshama could no longer remain tethered to the body. It simply escaped. It was an overwhelming experience. But when we got the Torah, we didn't say, God said, you want the Torah? We said, well, listen, God, I have a life. And I have my own personality. And I have my own comfort zone. So if your Torah can fit into my comfort zone, in my orbit, in my life, yeah, sure, why not? I'll have your Torah. But if your Torah is going to shatter what I'm used to, what I'm familiar with, listen, I'm not going for broke. I'm not ready to resign here. I'm still I. That's called absolute medida v'hagbala. That's called absolute limitation. I have my limitations. I am who I am, and if I can fit this into my life, which is already crowded and already organized, no problem. But you're asking something of me which transcends who I am, which is beyond my comfort zone, nothing to do. No deal. But if a person says, whatever Hashem asks of me, I'm ready to do. So what if it makes you really uncomfortable? What if it's going to require you to relinquish things that you consider to be basic? This is the things that are not negotiable for you. Would you still be ready to do that? And if a person says, yes, af al pi kein, nonetheless, that's called in Hebrew, mesiras nefesh. Mesiras nefesh means to give away your soul. Give away your soul in the most extraordinary form or extreme form means that a person actually loses their life. Because what's most important to us is staying alive. And the survival instinct is the most powerful instinct. So when it comes to, I say, listen, hey, I believe in all this Judaism stuff, but I do want to stay alive, Like, it's all nice and good, but my life is more important to me. And when the Jew says, life without Hashem, without Torah, without mitzvahs, it's not worth living. If I have to give away my connection to Hashem, I don't want to live. That's called Mesiras Nefesh. So what is then Mesiras Nefesh on a microcosmic level, on a smaller level? Because Mesiras Nefesh does not only mean dying. In fact, sometimes it's easier to die with Mesiras Nefesh because that's a one moment. How about living with Mesiras Nefesh? So here's an example of living with Mesiras Nefesh. There's a guy in our community who's a vegan. He never eats meat. Leather shoes, are you kidding? This for him is like a venial sin. It's worse than eating Yom Kippur for him. And he had a really hard time with tefillin. He wanted to know if he can have organic tefillin. Make tefillin out of plants. Because he can't wrap his head around this idea of an animal dying for me. He can't wrap his head around. I try to explain it to him any which way. And at a certain point, he came to the realization that if God said he has to put on tefillin, he has no choice. He can't deal with Leviticus, and he can't deal with kosher, but he said, he only eats vegan. But if that's what God says, so every day he puts on tefillin, and for him it's an act of Mesiras Nefesh, because actually he is giving away his principles. He's still a vegan, he's still into this. But he does it because that's the right thing to do. That's Mesiras Nefesh. He didn't die for it, but he gave a certain part of himself away for it. Maybe this morning you were really tired. Maybe you said, sleep in, who needs a class? It's Purim, I'm supposed to be happy. I don't need to learn Torah. Which is actually not true, and you said, I'm going to sleep another half hour. And then you said to yourself, it's Purim. It's Purim. It's Mesiras. I'm going to just sleep. No, I'm not going to just sleep. I'm going to pull myself out of bed and I'm going to go and learn Torah. That's Mesiras Nefesh. It's not the Mesiras Nefesh of the gulags. It's not the Mesiras Nefesh of giving your life away, but it is somewhat of a sacrifice. It was hard to do it. You went out of your way. You were planning to give $50 to the poor today, and another poor person comes along, or you say, you know what, you're collecting for the Jews of Hebron. Oh, you know what, I'm going to give $100. I'm going to do what I didn't want to do. That's Mesiras Nefesh. So when the Jewish people got the Torah, there was really, by and large, one big act of Mesiras Nefesh. It really was. Because the Torah God didn't say to the Torah, tell me, my dear Yidolach, what are you comfortable with? What do you like? What don't you like? What do you want to do? What don't you want to do? And I'll give you a tailor-made Torah. I'll give you a Torah for you. Everybody will get their own little Torah. You get the Torah that makes you feel good. Some people think that that's the case. They think Judaism is a beautiful smorgasbord, and we get to pick and choose what we want, and that's just fine. But they're making a big mistake. The truth is, if they do a mitzvah, it's still a mitzvah. But Yiddishkeit does not ask to accommodate God and let Him into your life in a way that's comfortable for you. Yiddishkeit asks of you Mesiras Nefesh. And that's how it was from the beginning. So through the Mesiras Nefesh that was there at the time of the giving of the Torah, then this became actualized in a real way. That's the meaning of energy in vessels. Rak inyonim sheim b'tam v'das. There were, ultimately, the Torah is still rhyme and reason. So the things that were actualized were still rhyme and reason. A person could come to the conclusion that he or she is willing to give their life away for something like this. Or this is a cause I'm willing to spend time and treasure and energy and even my health on, because this is a really big cause. This cause inspires me. So it's still within rhyme and reason. It's still called Medida Vagbala. This is like similar to what it says about Avraham Avinu, that he went through 9 tests, but God said, 9 tests. It's nothing. The 10th test, this is going to be the big test. As if you don't make it through the 10th test, the other tests don't count. And last time I checked, getting a 90 is not bad. Most of your surgeons that are operating on you, they didn't get better than a 90. I always wonder what happens if the next thing is the question they got wrong. But that's... a 90 is a pretty good mark. It's still an A. You're getting an Aleph. So Avram didn't pass. He got 9 tests. He got a 90. No. If Avram doesn't do the 10th test, maybe Avraham Avinu never really was ready for Mesiras Nefesh, because Avraham Avinu was a person of kindness. And this was his crusade, if you will. This is what he lived for. And this is what he devoted himself to. So when people live for a certain cause or devote themselves to a cause, they're ready to make sacrifices for it. Why? Because it comes with they are. That's me. I need to do this. I'm motivated. My ego, my self-importance, my existential importance says to me, you need to make the sacrifice and do this. But when Avraham Avinu, who is the epitome of kindness, takes his only son, puts him on an altar, and takes out a knife to slit his neck, and he's ready to do that, that is real Mesiras Nefesh. And Hashem said, that's all I wanted to see. I just needed to see if you're ready for Mesiras Nefesh. Now I take him down, it's all done. All done, you pass all the tests. Now we know that the earlier tests were the real deal. And the problem with Matan Torah is that even though we have Mesiras Nefesh, it still made sense. It still made sense. God takes you out of Mitzrayim, tells you He loves you, brings you to this little mountain. I'm going to give you the essence of all wisdom. You're going to become the light unto the nations, the kingdom of priests. It makes sense still. So there's a limitation. This is, and when you understand something, you feel really good about it. You know, people work on trying to understand something, you want to figure out a knotty problem, and then you figured it out finally. It's a good feeling. It feels fulfilling. It feels like you accomplished something. It gives you a sense of value, a sense of joy. But it's all an inyan of Havana V'Hasaga. It all fits into a frame of rhyme and reason. And here's the thing. So because all the Yamim Tovim are part of Matan Torah, and because Matan Torah, despite or albeit the Mesiras Nefesh that accompanied us in Matan Torah, because that was a Mesiras Nefesh that was somewhat still limited, it was still framed by whatever I understand, I appreciate, I know to be true. So it wasn't real, absolute self-abnegation. Because when Mashiach will come, will be fulfilled the promise that God makes through His prophet Isaiah. There'll be no longer any concealment. That godliness will be revealed in a way which is not limited by the frame of our existence or reality. The Rebbe says that's why all the festivals will fade away. It's easy to say all the festivals will fade away. Well, why was that going to be? Oh, it's going to be like the sunlight in the candle. What do you mean? The Yom Tov is a Yom Tov. Torah says it's Yom Tov. Torah says it has to be celebrated with joy. So what do you mean it's going to fade away? Torah doesn't say the Monday should have Simcha or Tuesday. Wednesday comes along, oh, Simcha. Okay, so Torah is saying something's different here. What are you telling me it's not going to be felt? So the Rebbe is explaining that intrinsically speaking, philosophically speaking, theologically speaking, the nature of the Simcha of Yom Tov represents Medida v'Hagbala. It is a limitation. It's joy, and joy is unbridled to a degree. So the Yomim Tovim represent that unbridled yet contained. And since when Mashiach comes, containment is a thing of the past, and limitation goes by the wayside, so the festivals really won't kind of garner that much attention. And it will be like a candle in the sunlight. However, the Rebbe says, you may have Purim, the days of Purim shebehem hoya inyan hamesiras nefesh. On Purim, we together as a nation experienced absolute self-abnegation. There was no promise of goodness and greatness. We didn't know that there would be light and glory and happiness and rejoicing. We didn't know how this would end. There was a very, very ominous cloud that hung over our head. And the cloud was one of absolute genocide and annihilation. But, if you would renounce your Jewishness, then you could just join the rest of the Persian people. You just needed to renounce your Jewishness, that's all. Very simple. Shed the identity, no longer observe Torah mitzvahs, no longer identify as a Jew, be willing to be a good citizen of the world, drop your dual loyalties, as Ilan Omar Yamach Shema accuses, get rid of your allegiance to Israel, get rid of your allegiances that are outside of the jingoism and patriotism that punctuates our multicultural empire comprised of 127 different provinces and cultures, and just become another culture and just follow in step with everybody else. And that's it. That's all you got to do. No annihilation, no genocide, nothing will happen to you. You know what happened? Not a single Jew took the bait. Not a single Jew said, "I'll really get killed and my family get killed. My children, yeah, maybe I should. I'm not really Jewish. I'm not Jewish. Sign me up. Show me where I can renounce my Jewishness, where I can formally get rid of it. I'll disconnect myself. I'll just be like everybody else." But the Jewish people didn't do that. And they had Mesiras Nefesh. And they walked in the streets with a target on their back. And the little anti-Semites would curse them and say, "Ha! Your day is coming. Soon we're going to slit your throat, take all your money away. Your life is worthless." And this was in a way which was l'mayla mitam vadas. They didn't get any joy. There was no revelation. God wasn't coming and smiling at them. The angels weren't flapping their wings. Nothing. So what happens is, because there was Mesiras Nefesh in the time of Purim, which was absolutely off the charts, so it engendered that kind of response from Hashem. So a very lofty level of divinity came forth. And this very lofty and intense, profound level of divinity was nimshach lamata b'kelim, came down into some kind of frame, because otherwise it's It's just atmospheric. It has to come into some kind of expression. But it's very large kelim. So Purim has limitations, but they're pretty loose. They're very big limitations. No, you can't eat not kosher on Purim, chas v'shalom. But things which are usually considered beyond propriety on Purim, they fit right in. People do things, say, it's Purim. It's Purim. No problem. Shal harei lo asad lavi, when Mashiach will come, it says that the revelation of divinity will be in a way which transcends limitations. And it gives the example of when a person is so happy that they cry tears of joy, which tears represent the person being unable to suffer the intensity of the moment. It's so intense, you can't just continue on. You can't even find words, so the person is moved to tears. Sheini yachal l'seila, can't take it. Kiva shematzino can find Rabbi Akiva when he was hearing the secrets of the Torah of Shir Hashirim, which Rabbi Akiva later said that all the books of the Scripture are holy, but the book of Shira, of the Song of Songs, is holiest of the holy. When he understood the secrets of those seemingly mundane metaphors, Zolgu ein of the Mois, it says tears streamed down his face. The Hainu, that is to say, Lefisha Hagilu because the revelation was beyond any kind of limitation. And that's why Zolgu ein of the Mois, that's where the tears came, which the tears are called Moisrei Moichen. It's called that which the mind cannot contain, cannot articulate or express, so to speak. It spills over and pushes tears out, where the body's like releasing energy. So this is the idea of Purim. The Hamshacha of Purim is B'kelim Rechavim, very, very broad vessels. Broad vessels of Mishta v'Simcha, broad vessels of joy and happiness and rejoicing. Hainu shen Meshachim B'kelim Gam Oiris Nailim, the highest of levels. Sheini Yachaliyas Nimshachim B'kelim B'Laslavi. Even Mashiach's times won't have what Purim has. And that's why the joy of Purim will never be eclipsed. It will never be forgotten. It will never be a thing of the past, because even the times of Mashiach will be rivaled by the intensity of the revelation on Purim. And today's Purim. And even if we don't see it, and even if we don't know this, even if it's not tangible to us, or if it's not visible to us, even if we can't connect to it in the way we will be to when Mashiach comes, the knowledge that this is the case should inspire us to have a very happy and a very inspiring Purim. And Hashem should help us that we should merit to see this and feel it and know it in the most literal way with the coming of Mashiach ben Heida will be Amen.